I want you to do a thought experiment for me. When you think about what it means to be a powerhouse singer, who comes to mind? Do you think of Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, Mariah Carey? Now let's focus specifically on male singers who could be considered powerhouses. You might think of Freddie Mercury, Robert Plant, Chris Cornell. Now let's focus specifically on male powerhouse singers who are topping the charts right now. One name rises above all others, and that name is Bruno Mars. Compared to modern male pop singers, no one even comes close to his agility. Nobody can match that soaring tone he has on high notes. So how did he find his voice? How does he reach those insane high notes? If we look into how he got into music, the answer becomes much more clear. Bruno Mars' uncle was an Elvis impersonator, and he encouraged Bruno to pursue music seriously when he was only 3 years old. Bruno's uncle, his father, and his mother were all in a band together called the Love Notes. Bruno's father tried pulling Bruno up on stage, and he was a natural in the spotlight.
I pulled him up on stage and he started to shake his legs. I'd come out 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and he'd be by the TV set rewinding to a certain segment and practicing, one of Elvis's moves, ending with that big karate stance.
When he was only 4 years old, Bruno was performing with his family's band 5 days a week. He became somewhat of a local legend in Hawaii for being an extremely young Elvis impersonator.
He's known the world over as the youngest Elvis impersonator. Please welcome Bruno.
It's my baby left me. I found a new place to dwell. It's down in the lonely street of Heartbreak Hotel.
At the age of 7, he was so well known for his Elvis impersonation that he even got a cameo in the 1992 movie Honeymoon in Vegas. Imitating Elvis for so long likely helped Bruno Mars with his stage presence and to make him feel like he could be more bold with his performances.
The 4-year-old Elvis, were you not nervous on stage?
Gangster, that's what it was. 4-year-old gangster Elvis.
Absolutely amazing, but you were just so chill up there.
I just love doing it. I just remember, the audience loves me. So I would just walk up on stage with my spadangled suit and get down.
Elvis inspired Bruno to take risks and be authentic in his performances.
The reason why I like Elvis so much is because, if you know the story a little bit, he's taking chances. And he grew up listening to music that people weren't allowed to listen to. And I just like the fact that he didn't care, and he did it.
But Elvis isn't the only singer that Bruno Mars would imitate. Another artist in his repertoire would have a much bigger impact on Bruno's future singing style.
As far as music's concerned, I think no one has done it in such a big way than Michael Jackson.
You mean his own music writing?
Just everything, all around. The whole thing. When it comes down to music videos, the way he dressed, how innovative he was. I think you can go to any country in the world and 5-year-old kids will know who Michael Jackson is because he's just such a big part of music. His music just brought the world together, basically.
While he was still a kid, Bruno Mars would begin imitating Michael Jackson in addition to his Elvis impersonation routine. During this time period, Bruno's father described Bruno's desire to learn and improve as insatiable.
Watching the shows 6 nights a week that we were involved in, participating in them, but then going home and never could get enough of it. Whether he was on a piano or teaching himself guitar or whatever, his appetite was insatiable.
Bruno's father also noted just how good Bruno was at mimicking an artist by studying videotapes of them.
All I had to do was supply him with videotape. He'd watch it, study it, he could do every move.
When Bruno was 15 and in high school, he got a gig where he would perform his Michael Jackson impersonation 2 shows a night.
There was an impersonation show that came down to Hawaii, and they were holding auditions. So I went down there with a hat and a glove and sang Billie Jean and did my little moonwalk and got the gig. So in high school, after school, I would go do 2 shows a night at 3 o'clock, at 10 o'clock at night, and then go back to school the next day.
Bruno notes how Michael Jackson and his other influences inspired him to put the music first and not worry as much about spectacle.
The reason why I like Elvis is the same reason why I like James Brown, Michael Jackson, Prince. These guys know how to go up on stage with their band and control their environment, rock the party. No tricks, no smoke, no mirrors, just raw talent and great songs.
Even to this day, Bruno Mars is so good at imitating Michael Jackson that he can make the crowd laugh at how spot on his impression is. Michael Jackson's singing style was iconic for the way it blended agility with power. He could sing really high notes that were somehow powerful but still soft. He could sing quietly but in full voice. Bruno Mars likely developed his ability to sing those smooth, soaring high notes from his years of imitating Michael Jackson. But Bruno Mars' singing style is not exactly the same as Michael Jackson's. It's not always as smooth and soft. Sometimes it has more of an aggressive, hard edge to it. So where did the influence for that come from? It's time to introduce the legendary classic rock band, Led Zeppelin.
Treat me the way that you wanna do. Jump in front of a train, boy.
In a 2010 article from Vibe.com, Bruno Mars mentions that in high school, he got into classic rock bands like The Police, Led Zeppelin, and The Beatles. During the intense parts of Bruno's songs where he uses that more rock-sounding, aggressive tone, it is my personal belief that a lot of the inspiration from that came from Led Zeppelin. Especially given that Bruno Mars actually sang a Led Zeppelin song on stage recently, and he seemed very comfortable with the material.
As you hear songs that you like and you admire, a Michael Jackson and a Stevie Wonder, so all your life you're singing their songs. So by you become my age, it's a part of you. When you start writing songs for yourself, it's only natural for your influences to come out into your own music. You don't create music. Everything has been done. You put your take on a funk song or a love song. And any musician that tells you they weren't inspired by another song or another musician is a liar.
Influences are one thing, but what allowed Bruno Mars to build the technique that allows him to sing those crazy high notes, to have such good pitch control, and to have that iconic tone? I believe that one of the most important factors is that he started so young.
When people say, where did this little boy come from? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, who's this Bruno Mars who just skyrocketed out of nowhere? They don't realize 22 years of preparation for that rocket to take off.
The fact that Bruno was performing 5 nights a week when he was only 4 years old is very important. What it means is that he had years to develop a strong foundation for singing. Since he had so long to master the basics, he could focus exclusively on the more difficult and flashy techniques when he was older. Compare this to someone who starts singing at 15 years old. They might spend the first few years of their singing journey just trying to get pitch accuracy, trying to get comfortable with breathing, trying to have a consistent tone, being able to stay on rhythm. Bruno Mars had a decade to master all that, so by the time he was a teenager, he could put all of his practice into getting smoother high notes, mastering distortion, perfecting his pitch accuracy. Another factor that I think allowed Bruno to achieve the sound he has is his naturally high voice. Listen to the way he sounds when he's speaking.
I tell the story everywhere I go. For some reason, everyone's interested in where I got this name from.
Notice how different he sounds from someone who has more of a bass or baritone voice type.
Something I probably should say that definitely helps me out a lot on stage is having a good monitor mix.
Bruno Mars' naturally high voice is one of the reasons that he has the sound that he does. But I want to make one thing clear. Bruno Mars does have amazing technique. If he were only getting by on having a high voice, he wouldn't be able to do nearly the kind of stuff that he does. He would be consistently getting louder and more strained as he gets higher, but we've heard him effortlessly sing notes in the A4 to C5 range, and to be able to sing them gently but also full, to have perfect pitch accuracy. So he clearly has amazing techniques to be able to do all that. Just listen to how softly he can sing these high notes even though he's not singing in falsetto.
I'd catch a grenade for you. Throw my hand on a blade for you. I'd jump in front of a train for you.
That's the dance remix.
So he definitely has amazing technique, but his naturally high voice gives him two main advantages. One of them makes it easier for him to get the tone that he has. Because of his high voice, he doesn't need to make nearly as many adjustments as he gets to those high notes. For someone with a lower voice, they might be able to get the high notes that Bruno Mars is getting, but in order to get there, they have to take a lot of the weight off their voice and use a thinner sound, or else they won't even get up to the note. So, because for Bruno Mars, his voice kind of naturally sits up there, he can use a more natural tone when he's singing those notes because he's not making such a dramatic adjustment to thin out the voice. So for that reason, he can have a warmer and less shrill tone than someone who has to really thin their voice out to get the high notes. Another advantage that Bruno's naturally high voice gives him is endurance. Someone with a normal lower voice might be able to sing the same high notes and the same passages that Bruno does, but in order to do that, they have to much more delicately balance the vocal muscles in order to achieve such high notes with a full voice. And doing that is quite exhausting. Now, Bruno Mars does have the technique to be able to do that. He's very good at balancing the muscles within his voice, but he doesn't need to do it as much until he gets to a much higher pitch than you might think. When he's hanging out in the A4 to C5 range for minutes at a time, to him, that might only feel as exhausting as when you're hanging out in the E4 to G4 range. He still has to balance his vocal muscles, but the room for error and the degree to which it's exhausting is less than you would expect, because since his voice kind of naturally sits up there, he only has to make a little bit of adjustment to get those high notes, rather than maybe a baritone who has to really push their voice to the limit and have the perfect delicate balance to get that note, and that's going to be a lot more exhausting. So what is my advice to practice if you want to learn to sing in the style of Bruno Mars? The most important thing I would say is you want to practice singing the high notes from his songs, but you want to practice the notes quietly without using falsetto. By doing that, you're forcing yourself to actually learn to balance the muscles in your voice without relying on the external crutch of more volume and more air pressure. If you're getting louder as you go higher, you're not really learning to balance your vocal muscles, and instead you're relying on that extra air pressure to prevent your voice from breaking. So by keeping it quiet without falsetto, you're really training yourself to balance your vocal muscles, and that will allow you to sing this well. So you might do something like this. 'Cause I got your grenade for ya. Throw my hand on a blade for ya. I jump in front of a train for ya. And by doing it quiet like that, you can make it louder if you want when you're performing, but you'll have a lot more control, and you won't be required to just be pushing yourself harder and harder as you go higher. So hopefully that helps. So there you go. That's the story of how Bruno Mars found his musical identity, how he developed the technique that he has, and some ways that you can apply this to your own voice. I hope you found that helpful. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.